Sound check, 1 2 3, 1 2 3. I know you guys can hear me. How you doing, people? Hydra here, sounding a little bit nasal today. Got an absolutely stinking cold, but I just simply can't put this video off. This needs to be done today. It needs to be done now. This is one of the most important videos for discussing Martyr in, I don't know, the last God knows how long. What we have is finally we have a developer post, and we're here on their site now. We're going to go through this together, and we're going to go through their released and post-release content, and I want you guys to be here with me so we can basically talk about the content, talk about what's coming out, what it means. It's some pretty big news today because they're actually clarifying what's going to be in the damn game. So, yes, Nort, we got some real new info today. We've got some real information out, finally, in terms of clarification at least. Now, they've not shown any content. That is something I'm going to say right now. This video is not going to be showing you content. However, this is a big video for simply going through the content that's going to be in the game. So I'm going to be going through it with you, talking about some of the stuff that's not in the game that I thought was going to be at final release, because it does look like they've made a couple changes, or perhaps not, as the case may be, but let's get started and go through. So this post, obviously it says it includes all the stuff that's been in the game thus far. Take it easy with the cold, thank you very much. Thank you for the emoji spam, Jones. Oh, I'm also working on making that chat see-through. However, the CSS code, this is why I waited 15 minutes before starting the stream. It's an absolute bugger to do CSS for YouTube chat. So we got this ugly white chat on the left, but I'm going to be uploading this video after, so all of your chat messages are going to go down in history on the YouTube channel. So thank you very much for your contributions. Make sure to throw in some questions and comments as we go. So, release content. Obviously, the big stuff first. The game basically includes all of the early access stuff. That kind of goes without saying. It's not particularly news that the stuff we've already got is going to be in the final stuff, but they've basically not bothered to list it and say, just look at what's in the current game. So there we go. So let's have a little look down here and see what we've actually got. So 5 chapters. I have a feeling originally there was due to be 10, so I don't know if they've chopped some off the end here, or if they're actually if they've reworked the chapters in a way. I don't know if it's shorter than the original plan. No one can ever know, because we never knew when the story would start or finish. But hey, we've got 5 chapters now. Previously it was advertised as 10, but hey, whatever. We've got unique maps for the campaign, and we know they've all been handcrafted, each of the maps and missions for the campaign missions. We know there's going to be more unique NPCs as we go along, and we know that there's more CGI cutscenes to look forward to. So this is all pretty exciting. How many chapters do we have now? I believe currently, Lalandra, we've got 2. So it's not going to be a massive amount. However, they have always said the total campaign will be kind of a prologue to the game. It's not going to be the main time sink. It's not going to be, and we'll come to this in a moment as to where the main time sink will be. A release isn't for today, Samahel. This is just clarification on the final build that they've released, so we finally have some information to go through. Now, we know that we're going to get, let's say, 150% of what we've currently got, which is not a huge amount when you think about it. That being said, maybe the current will just be worked into Chapter 1 of 5. Who really knows? I wouldn't be surprised if what we've got so far gets sort of melded into Chapter 1. That being said, most of what we have, aside from the first few missions, are just placeholder. So I'd actually go back on what I said, Lalandra. I think we've only got Chapter 1 thus far. Now, morality system. We knew the other day that this was going to be included. This is a real relief. Now, in terms of what they're adding, they've moved away from talking about demonic and holy weapons, etc. So this is interesting. It's going to be tied with the actual story, and it's going to be tied with assignments. Radical versus Puritan. Remember, this is a morality within the context of 40k. It's basically, do you want to do things by the book or not by the book? So this is all very interesting. Mackley, you're bang on time. We have just got started. So the morality system we know is going to have a separate skill tree branch for each. I really like this move. It's really nice. It means that you're actually going to get access to something different that might impact gameplay, make certain weapons better. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know what the skills are going to be. I have no idea whatsoever. We can only speculate. It would make sense if the skill tree for Puritans was sort of more towards holy effects on a weapon, etc., etc. We don't really know. We know there's going to be unique artifacts. Now, could that include weapons? We don't really know. Maybe Holy and Demonic are still in there. Maybe. Not entirely sure. But we know there's also going to be a unique perk for each. So gameplay to an extent will be influenced a bit by this morality system, which I'm really excited that we've still got a big relief. And yes, we know most people are probably going to be radical, I would say. At least with Imicable, I would imagine we've got a fair few radicals going on. Now, we know that the enemy Legion, Alpha Legion, are going to be within the game at launch. Now, previously, they had said there was going to be 3 new factions within the game at launch. Now, the other 2 are going to be mentioned in a bit. They are going to be the Night Lords and the Dark Elder. They're going to be mentioned in a bit as to what's happened to those, but don't panic too much yet. We know we've got some new map types. Now, we know we've got Ruined City, which is basically the Imperial Knight map. Okay, so we've seen that. We know we've seen the Upper Hive for about 2 seconds with the villain clip on the trailer. I love the emoji spam. I love the emotes. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say that now. Thank you, Jones. Keep spamming them, keeping them coming this way. Just got them done the other day. Loving them. Giant rails we've not seen. Industrial we've not seen. So we've got 2 new ones there. Okay, it does still look like the map is going to be a little bit of an issue in terms of diversity. However, they have said they are doing a lot to try and improve what they've currently got, which is a little bit of relief. Let's scroll up so we've got this a little bit higher up here. So maps for randomly generated missions are going to be revamped. So obviously the feedback has been that they're not varied enough, they're very repetitive, and they easily become very familiar. So they've removed all of the props and they've rebuilt them all. With about 200 to 300 more props and decals and variations, etc. So that's basically just bits scattered around the map, anything from tables to barrels, you name it. So there's going to be... I don't have any recaf, my friend. I really should do, actually. It might make me sound a bit less crappy. It might go some way to improving it by having different prop variations. You can quite easily make a spaceship, I don't know, hangar look very different to a, I don't know, what do you call it, a bridge, just by changing the actual items on there, perhaps. But they've also mentioned the mosaics will each have 3 to 6 major patterns. Now, granted, that generally means sort of like nighttime, daytime. It's going to be sort of low lighting variants, stuff like that, based on the theme and atmosphere, etc. So you might have, I don't know, you guys know what we have already. We've got like Nurgle infested maps, we've got low lighting spaceships, we've got, I can't even remember, the planet's one of the easier ones because it's basically got a bunch of different filters and slight different texture changes. They're basically subtypes of a variant. It's more than just a filter though, it does change a little bit. So, what else have we got here? And they've also changed the total amount of scripted random events. They're going to be used more often, and the old ones are going to be used more often too, which is good because currently the maps are incredibly static within the game. So this is also very good news. It would be nice to have a number for this to know how many new events they're going to add. However, obviously, they're not going to give us a number for everything, and it's just people like me that are interested in stuff like this. If it's another 5 different unique events on a map, it's not going to have a big impact. If, however, it's going to be 20, 30, 40 different events, very, very big news. Now we go on to some of the big stuff. Lots of unique artifact enchantments for godlike items. So currently, a godlike item only has 1 potential enchantment on it, and that is crap as a system because it means whenever you get an item you already know what it's got before you check it out. So this means that when you get some of these good items, whoa, hold on, whoa, I've just said godlike item. This is confusing because the other stream, the developer stream, they said that relic items were going to be the highest tier in the game. I have a feeling that this should actually say lots of unique artifact enchantments for relic items. I have a feeling that's what this is intended to say. I would almost put my money on it because as far as we know, godlike items are no longer present. They've not been mentioned thus far. I don't think they exist anymore. We'll have a little chat with Neocore afterwards, see if they want to amend that if it is a mistake. I have a feeling it is. Inoculator is going to be rebalanced to make boosting more viable. Basically, it has damage steroids in there at the moment, but they're crap. It's basically just used for healing. You could definitely use it for some damage boost builds, but it's not particularly viable or great because healing is just more useful. So any other ways that you can heal a character via passive regen builds, etc., then you can finally get to use this, but just right now it's not viable. So they're trying to make it viable by making the damage boosts more significant. That would be very nice. Looking forward to seeing what changes occur there. Now, class builds. Now, and I do know, yeah, I would like to have godlike items too, farming like crazy for the good stuff. Absolutely, Leandra, absolutely. Now, class builds supported with unique items, passive skills and perks, etc. So we know that the class builds is a bit of an issue that we've got within the game at the moment. It's a bit of a problem at the moment that the game is just very, very bland when it comes to builds. There's nothing particularly unique already that changes a assassin with a bolter to a crusader with a bolter. However, they're going to have more passive skills and perks to basically allow for this. So more perks per class, more, I don't know, the passive skills are being reworked. We don't exactly know how, but there is also, if we highlight the next one of the most important, there's also stuff that's going to be unlocked as we go through the game, which is something we've desperately needed for a long, long time. Because at the moment, once you've reached level 20, you've unlocked every weapon and you've unlocked basically everything there is to unlock within the game. There's not much to look forward to anymore after that, other than just seeing relic items, which is only a purple item with another stat line. But now this all looks like it's going to be changing. When you get to end game, there's even going to be end game specific item enchants per se. So it might mean that a bolter early on, even a relic bolter, let's say, just does its straightforward bolter thing. But when you get further in the game, it's going to do more stuff. It's going to become, I don't know, it's going to have more possibilities as a bolter. I don't want to bog down in specifics because I don't know what they are. But it's nice to see that as you go through the game, you might find different types of bolter that might have a little bit more of an impact on what you do. Now, in general, they're making us want to create surprisingly unique builds. Now, we can only just speculate on this, but it is very, very interesting. Now, the system is built upon 3 pillars. It's basically your passive skill, your perk, and your item enchant, all combined to make your quote-unquote build. So when people say that the skill points is not sufficient to be known as a build within Martyr, well, you've got to take into consideration that it's actually supposed to be a combination of your passive skills, your perks, and your unique item enchants. Because the perks, remember, they basically do the job of the cube system within Diablo 3, where you can pick any 3 legendary effects and apply them to you. That's basically what this system kind of does. So it's kind of like having 3 legendary items as a character, which it needs to be taken into consideration. The problem at the moment is that there needs to be more perks and all of this, but it looks like they're going some way to address it. We don't know how many there's gonna be, but we do know that they're going to be doing an interesting build video soon. I've been nagging them for ages to do this, to show us what some of the endgame builds are going to look like, show us what some of these enchants are going to look like, show us some of the flashy stuff. Now, obviously, we did have the previous telekinesis build for a day, then it got taken away. It's going to be added again, so the Psyker is going to get 4 unique spells. I can't remember exactly what they did telekinesis. One of them made you move faster. That's just about all I remember. I can feel a sneeze coming. I'm going to try and hold it in. So all of the classes are going to get a bunch of new perks. It would be nice to have specifics, but more perks will be helpful. The perks have definitely been improved since launch, but more of them will be very, very useful. We'll also rework the progression system yet again. Now, let's be fair, if it was a complete rework, then they would have done it within the testing phase, because new systems need to be tested, the bugs need to be brought through. I would not expect this to be a complete revamp. It could be, because they do have a brand new QA team, and they could have said, right, this is what the players want, we're just going to give them and build them something that they want. I have no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if a quote-unquote rework of the progress system is a minor modification. I would not be getting hopes up right now that they're going to be ditching all sorts of stuff, but it has been a consistent piece of feedback that the system is overcomplicated, hard to understand, and a lot of people just sort of feel like the dual XP thing is just a bit weird. So it's very interesting to see that they maybe maybe looking to change that. Who knows? I personally feel that they could wrap it all up into one bloody just single type of experience, make it a lot simpler. It would ruin a few features, but we'll have to wait and see what they do. Now, the loot system's going to be changed heavily so it feels more rewarding. That I have no idea how that's going to work. No idea. Absolutely no idea. We'll have to find out when they do the stream as to what this means. I mean, previously, quotes like this have meant that they changed the end screen, so it comes up with a big flashy sort of, you've got a big weapon, and there's a sound effect, and that was sort of their quote-unquote rework. They've used the word heavily now. Now, this is sort of getting our hopes up a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see what it is. So they're reworking the boss system too, and this will include the humanoid that is very tough, known as the villain, and this will be the unit type. They're going to be including it within a unit type blog series this month, so they're going to be cover this. How you doing, Harmon, my friend? Shouldn't you be at work right now, my friend? Or maybe you finished already, in which case, welcome home. Welcome home, my friend. Grab yourself some recaf. Let's get to work. Now, so we can look forward to basically finding out more about the villains, but we do know that the villains appear randomly within the map. So the villain is going to be basically a rogue psyker that's going to randomly appear. My theory is that it's also going to be randomly possessing units throughout the map. It's going to be something demonic potentially could also do the same thing. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and find out. But that's all looking very nice and all such. And the customization, we knew this already. If we scroll down a little bit here, the customization, character appearance, we know you're going to be able to change the color of your equipment. That's all very well and good because no one wants to be pink. If you do, that's fine by me, but I don't. You will also be able to add and modify the amount of grime, scratches, etc. That's your level of visual customization. And I believe there was due to be a transmog feature to change skins. We'll just have to wait and see, but we'll fingers crossed for that, because it would be nice to take an item that you really like and swap it with one that actually looks good. Fingers crossed. GUI improvements, graphics and arrangements will be improved, etc, etc. Who knows what that actually means. The main menu will be improved too. More functions will be added. No idea what to say there. No idea what that means, but it's basically they're just saying it'll look a bit better. Who knows? Right. Oh my god, Dutch wife, you're getting told off by Nightbot. Oh my dear. Too much spam, it seems. Too much spam. Right, let's move on. Better and more balanced gameplay. Of course, we've still got unbalanced gameplay at the moment. Better improved graphics. That would probably imply that anti-aliasing will finally be turned on, so things will be looking a lot better. Right, and yeah, absolutely, Yarnix. Thank the frickin' four gods. Hey, hang on. You're not supposed to be worshipping those guys. You remember what the Imperium told you. Tier 1 is going to be added. So the first subsector investigation involving World Bearers, Alpha Legion, Black Legion. So Tier 1 first subsector is basically going to be let's call it the end game. So you complete what we've currently got, and it's going to launch us into, once we've completed the current area, the current sort of, oh god, I'm going to use the word sandbox. Then we're going to jump into the next area, and that's going to be the first tier of content. So let's talk about that. 4 to 6 weeks after release will be the first global event, and this is where the tier 1 investigations will basically lead to. So you basically we start off in tier 1, we do a bunch of investigations, you get to the soft cap, and that kind of gets you ready. The soft cap will be level 40, by the way. That gets you ready to then jump into the warzone, whatever this is. We'll talk about it in a moment. This will happen 4 to 6 weeks after release. So basically when the game releases, we get 4 to 6 weeks to gear up, get ready, get to level 40, get our builds ready, get our moves going on, find our Kabuls, grab a safety buddy, hold hands and get ready. So here, we know the warzone's going to open up, and this is the endless zone of the first tier, not recommended for under 40s. Okay, as the name implies, it's an endless battleground where you can progress in increasingly difficult special missions. So this is probably the area where we're going to feature these things like endless missions and things like that. Who knows what this actually is? It's an endless battleground. What does that mean? I have no idea whatsoever. This is actually one of the features I'm most Oh, thank you, Jones. Thank you. That you can be my safety buddy. Confirmed. This is the feature I'm most excited about and most curious about, because this is the feature, after we've done everything in the game, that's going to be the thing that either holds you until the next season starts, or you get bored of and go play another game until the next season starts. So this, for me, is going to be what you're potentially doing for a long time, because after this, you've got 2 to 3 months after release, Tier 2 is going to open. So basically, you've got a period, launch day 1, let's say 5 weeks later, you get the global event starts 5 weeks after, and then you've got to wait until somewhere between month 2 and 3. So you've got to wait another month. So this Warzone has got to keep us busy for about a month to a month and a half. It could happen, it might not, maybe it's not designed to be, but it's very, very possible. It's very, very important for the game that this feature is good. So I'm very, very looking forward to finding out more about it. If they're going to do a stream on anything, I want to know more about this. However, it's coming out 4 to 6 weeks after release, which probably means they've not built it yet. Maybe they have, but it's probably still having its finishing touches done, which means they're probably not going to talk about it, which sucks. But hopefully we can nag them about this. Now, anyway, 2 to 3 months after release, we're going to get Tier 2. And this is a subsector with another few solar systems, unique points of interest, okay, whoop-de-doo, 3 investigations focusing on Dark Elder. So finally, 2 to 3 months after release, we're going to get the Dark Elder, and it will also introduce the Night Lord enemy faction. So 2 to 3 months later on, after May, we're going to get the Night Lords and Dark Elder. This is going to be followed by 2 more seasons, both revolving around their own storylines, which are basically... Oh, and by the way, there's going to be Khorne. Anyone else excited for the next Chaos God? Just been announced subtly, but the next unit type or the next faction that's going to come is going to be Khorne, after the guys that we're already aware of. So we're going to get Night Lords and Dark Elder. We're going to get one more Chaos faction at release. I can't remember their bloody name. Alpha Legion, we're going to get a release. Then we're going to get Dark Elder, and we're going to get Night Lords at the same time. Then there's going to be Khorne after. That is exciting. That is exciting. Oh, you're getting timed out, OLED. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right. How you doing, Louise? Nice to see you. How you doing, Yarnix? Novos, nice to see you all. Right. Character wipe. Pre-launch. They'll do it at launch. There will be a complete wipe at launch. 100% everything wiped. Start again from scratch. Right. I mean, the Warzone itself is going to be keeping you busy between week 5 and month 2 and 3. So it's not going to have to keep you busy for 2 to 3 months, and there is no wipes. There are no wipes after launch. This is not one of those things where a new season starts and you get wiped. This is a season that adds more content. Alex, yes, Cabals will be wiped too. Everything wiped. Character names wiped. Cabals wiped, friends list wiped, everything as far as I'm aware, because that's normally what happens when they do a wipe. Absolutely everything, crash. It sucks, I know. I lost my Cabal name due to this feature. However, there you go. Someone else has been masquerading as Aldo Hydra for the past 6 months. Now, the stuff that didn't make it into the game, we're going to come back to some of those other bits in a moment, but some of the stuff that didn't make it into the game. We've got the retinue system. Didn't make it. They've said that they've basically not been able to include it, fell outside of the development time and focus. They've made several plans, but none of them have worked very well, and they haven't given up, but this is definitely something that won't be in the game until they won't be able to finish until release. So it's something we can look forward to in the future. So, Inquisitorial Fortress, we already knew that this wasn't going to make it in. It's a very big feature. Apparently, they've not been able to make them work very well. So it clearly shows that they have been trying stuff. So their first concept didn't work particularly well, and it was discarded. It was rather something extra instead of something tied into the core gameplay. It was like an extra feature where you attacked each other's bases in some sort of secret war. But there you go. And new PvP modes are still a thing, but not within the main feature of the game, because they had basically to concentrate on the final game. I don't think many people will be disappointed about the new PvP modes. they're going to sort of focus on them throughout the sort of the rest of the game's development. That's fine. The retinue system, some people will be sad about, and the inquisitorial fortresses, if people didn't know, some people will be sad about that too. The main stuff from today. What I want you guys in the chat to do briefly, I want you guys to let me know what have we just gone through that excites you a little bit. Is there anything here that we should be talking more about? For me, I think the main thing is this Warzone feature. We now know the format that the seasons are going to do, but please guys, throw it into the chat. Give me some ammunition to talk about here. But for me, the main thing to take away from this is this first global event. It's going to be the tier 1 turning into tier 2. Got a rough sort of idea of time span as to how things are going to work. We're going to have a 4 to 6 week after release, we're going to have a global event, and that's going to open up the Warzone, and the Warzone is then going to take however long. Hopefully it's going to hold us for about 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, and then 2 to 3 months after release we're going to open up tier 2. And when we open up tier 2, if people weren't aware of this is when the level cap will increase, and then we're going to go through the 6 new solar systems and basically progress up to level 100, or 90 or 80, but something around that. Okay. I didn't say there was going to be a test. Well, I'm afraid so, Robert. I'm afraid so. I hope you were taking notes. Access to Xeno weapons when they add Dark Elder stuff. That is a very interesting concept, by the way. I mean, we do have the Radical and Puritan system, so there's definitely opportunity if we go back up to here. Now that they've confirmed the Radical system, there's definite opportunity. Wherever they've put it, that's unique artifacts. Let's face it, Xeno artifacts could be within the Radical side. It could be. We don't know what they are. We can only look forward to it, but it's a possibility. Demonic and holy weapons used to be something they were talking about a lot. Quite a lot. And they've not mentioned it at all, which makes me think that they're probably no longer existing. I would not be surprised if they don't exist anymore. I would think it's going to be just a small handful of items for each. However, we can wait and see, and we can look forward to this. So guys, anything else? Warzones will be solo or multiplayer. As far as I'm aware, they'll be multiplayer because they're not campaign driven, and it's only the campaign that's single player only. If they do this Warzone as single player content, I will be the first person to get out the baton and start bashing them over the head for making a terrible, terrible life choice. Let's just go back up to this, because this stuff is going to be... Let's face it first, the campaign isn't something you can do with your buddies, which sucks. It's a choice they've made, it's what they've gone for. You've got to play this game through and do quite a lot of the main levelling on your own, but you can do farming with your friends. The end game needs to be multiplayer, hands down, no questions. It has to be. Endless missions has to be doable with your friends. If you can't do something like an end game rift system with your friends, what's the fucking point in having it in a game that focuses so much on community play? That's what I would say. So I would be amazed. Right, let's have a look. I'll be able to make a build where it will be difficult for others to copy. I mean, potentially with all of the item changes, that is something to look forward to. It is an interesting design choice, Dutch Waifu. It is indeed. I'm not sure their reasoning for it. That's the thing, for making the single-player campaign for making the campaign single-player only. I'm not sure the actual reason for the design choice. My suspicion is because they wanted it to be a very narrative-heavy, narrative-focused portion of the game, and they may have just said, you know what, we want players to do this on their own, but there's all of this other stuff they can do with friends. That I have a feeling it's to get players immersed in the story. I could be wrong. This is just my suspicion. It's just a hunch. The link of this forum, this is basically neocoregames.com/ well, just go to neocoregames.com and click on the community tab. This will come straight up. It'll be tabbed. Fate Farmer's easy. Campaign needs to be that way. I'm not sure, Harmon. The trouble is they can't change it because of the leveling system now. They literally cannot change it to be multiplayer without fucking everything up, because the whole system, to me, the way I see it, the way Fate, the rank system works and all of these things, is that they've built a system that should not really let players do And they've even coded it in a way that it fucks up when you have 2 people in the single-player campaign. I think they've just built it this way, so I really don't think it's anything that's going to change. But hey, the campaign for this game was always designed to be a prologue. It's always designed to be a short little thing that you do, and then you go into the main stuff. But there you go. As far as we know, Novos, the balancing will go into it, and I'm hopeful that there'll be some refinement in terms of the PvP match, but no. As far as we're aware, that there's no real PvP changes that'll be coming immediately. We're going to have to be sort of sitting on our hands and waiting a little while. That's unfortunate because, in my view, with the PvP system the way it is, currently completely without any attention, without any reward, no one's going to play it because they're not giving you any incentive to play it. So lots of unique artifact enchantments for Godlike. Vesco, in case you missed it earlier, now I actually believe if I highlight this down here, there we go. I believe that is supposed to say relic items because previously in the stream about 2 weeks ago, Megapol pulled a sad face and said that relic items would be the highest tier within the game. Now, that would seem to imply that godlike items are no longer within the game. However, people do make mistakes and do say things wrong. So either Megapool got something wrong there, or this is a typo and this should say godlike items. I have a feeling that this probably should say relic items, and that relic items are going to get more artifact enchantments. That sentence would make a lot more sense. So I would not get your hopes up for godlike items until they've been confirmed. My suspicion is that this is a typo. The other thing that I do think... you don't see anything on the what there, Lilandra. Right. Anything else, guys? Anything else? Do we know if any changes have been made to PvP? We've covered that. Perks, retrieval, paying for... yeah, there's nothing on the respec feature at the moment in terms of how that's actually going to... Well, we know how it's going to function. We know we're going to have a respec feature. It's not been mentioned here at all. It's going to involve a consumable. At least that was the last thing they said. It's not been mentioned at all here. So we don't know if you're going to have to redistribute like perks by investing money to do so. I mean... it's not particularly easy to remove a bionic organs, etc., but it doesn't really make sense to tie people down. Having the ability to swap between builds is going to be very important for a game that offers lots of variety. But I think one of the other things that we can go through from this that is actually a potentially really big thing is that they have made it so that you unlock more things as you continue to play after level 20. So after level 20, let's just presume they're keeping it at the same level. We don't really know. You're going to unlock all of the actual base items, but there will be more enchants, there will be more perks, there will be more things you can do to create specific builds after then. And that is really big because currently once you've reached level 20, you've got fuck all to look forward to. You've got everything. You've found everything. You might find a relic item with one effect on it, but that's literally all you can get. If I had to go through the stuff that's maybe a little bit underwhelming, the fact that I already know what 2 of these new maps are doesn't... okay, Upper Hive looks kind of cool, but it looks like a rework of the Walkway map with quite a few changes. We'll have to see. It looked really nice. Ruin City, we've seen, it wasn't finished at the time, granted, and there's also a scaled-down version for single people. Giant Rails, no idea what that is. It sounds like another non-open map, which I'm not particularly happy about. Ruin City is going to be open, much more like the ice map, so I'm happy about that one. I feel we've got far too many corridor-based maps at the moment. So Industrial, I'm really hoping that's going to be open. Now, they've said that they're doing a lot more tile variety, but the overall map variety, unless these 3 to 6 different pattern variants are noticeably different, people are probably still going to be moaning about map variety. However, we'll just have to wait and see what the new assets do, if they really have some sort of major changes. I'm also a little bit disappointed that we're going to have to wait, 2 to 3 months after having the game to actually see the Dark Elder. So, you're looking at about 10 weeks to finally meet the Dark Elder. We thought they were going to be in there come release. They're being sort of held back for the first... I thought they were being held back for the first season, but the first season... I don't know. I don't know exactly. But there's definitely some information to go through on here, guys, and some interesting stuff. I hope you're not too bummed about the retinue system. I'm not too surprised at this. The previous response they'd given didn't really give a lot of hope that the retinue system would be in, but they're still working on it. They're still hopefully going to include it, but there you go. So there you go. Guys, have you guys got any other questions while we're here? I'm going to give you guys a minute just to throw some sort of Q&A at me. Just ask me anything you like, anything you want to talk about. Have they mentioned any new maps for T2? That's a very good question, my friend, because they have said... there we go. They have said that new seasons will come with more maps, more mission types. Basically, no. They've said that it will include new subsectors, new investigations, 6 new solar systems. Hang on, here we go. 6 new solar systems, unique points of interest, 3 investigations focusing on the Dark Elder. If that doesn't include more mission types and another map variety set, another map type, I would be very disappointed. So no, they haven't confirmed it, but there you go. Harmon, I would presume that is basically a given, the Titan. I mean, sorry, you're trying to bait me, aren't you, with the Titan, with the Knight? Yeah, that's right, with the Knight. There's nothing on it, but they have basically said everything in the game that you've already seen is going to be in the game. As they've already demoed it, I think it's just sort of a given that the Knight is going to be in. But they've not mentioned how it's going to be in. However, they have already mentioned it's going to be tied into the campaign. And that's all we know. You're going to meet the Knight, or meet the pilot rather. You're going to requisition him and say, look, I need your help. He's going to come and help you. You're all just going to be best buddies afterwards, and something heretical will be born. That's kind of all we know there. Right. Decks on ships going up or down in lifts instead of just fighting over floor deck. Yet multiple 3D verticality stuff is an interesting point, Louise. I mean, I think it's safe to say that the verticality aspect has pretty much been ditched from spaceships and such. You go back to the 2015 footage, and now granted, there was a lot more going up and down elevators. There was a lot more exploring in a 3D dimension. It looked nice. In terms of actual combat, I don't think it made a lot of sense. To me, it looks like they've simply moved away from it. They've decided actually maybe they just figured they can't really do a tile-based system with this, and hence it wasn't really worth it. Although they did also say that those assets were still in the game, so they may be single-player dependent. They might be on specific missions. They might be for the campaign. I have no idea. They have no idea. Something else we also didn't mention. We also didn't go through the Nemesis. Where are you, my little friend? Post-release. Where are you? Right, Nemesis. Okay, so the Warzone's going to open up. Right. When you get to the end of the game as it stands, you're going to meet the first Nemesis. Apparently there's going to be 2 types. Let's find it. Let's go up. I tell you what, let's do a find, and let's go... Okay, first mention Nemesis. So some of these will become bosses in scripted boss fight maps. Okay, so we're going to have boss fight maps in particular. That sounds nice. And another boss type will be introduced, aka the Nemesis. Sounds very nice. There will be 2 in the game. 1 at the end of the campaign. So you reach the end of the campaign, you're going to fight a boss. And 1 in the end game layer at the end of tier 1. So basically, there you go. You're going to fight 1 in quote-unquote end game setting, and you're going to fight 1 when you're finishing the campaign. Don't know how far apart those 2 things are. And then you're going to see down here, the Warzone is basically going to include 1 of the others. And this is where I'm almost certain that the Nemesis is going to be a Demon Prince. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to put my money on it. It's going to be a Demon Prince. Could be wrong. 9 out of 10 confident, let's say. So, yeah, that's something else to look forward to. It's going to be cool. Hopefully the mechanics will be interesting. Hopefully that this is, if it's included within the endgame content, there's some real challenge surrounding beating it. I really, really hope for. Apparently it provides competition among hardcore players. You'll be able to improve on unique items in a way that your build will be more than capable of handling the opening of Tier 2. Basically, for people that want to play the game slowly, you've got 2 to 3 months before the next sector unlocks, so that you don't have to level too quickly in this game. For most of us, I think we'll probably hit max rank in about 2 weeks, so that gives us then another 2 to 4 weeks to gear up and sort of find items, level and unlock perks, do the grindy stuff, which actually sounds quite reasonable, I think. So after release global event, we're probably only going to have to be grinding items at the end game for a couple of weeks, and then we're going to get the global event. For casual players, they won't even have to wait at all. The event will probably start before they reach the end of the level. So that is going to be nice. And then, again, this is where this end zone area is going to kick in. Is this going to be enough to hold us between the 6th week and the 2nd month? Maybe. I mean, that could only be another 3 weeks if the two do overlap like so. It could be another 6 weeks. Who knows? But that is definitely my big question for today. See what's going to happen there. Right. So, guys, I am actually going to be calling it there. How is the pacing now? The current pacing, just before we do call it a day, and any other questions you've got last round, fire them away. I'm going to be wrapping up the stream fairly shortly. So any other questions you've got, anything you want to talk about, you fire them in right now. Robert, the pacing now, and their aim for the pacing is that the campaign takes about 10 to 15 hours to complete, and that the leveling process will be around that. So thank you very much, Cookie. I love Deep Rock Galactic. It's an amazing game. Anyone else that doesn't have it should really check it out. It's like Vermintide in space when you play squats against Tyranids. It's amazing, but it's a block game, a bit like Minecraft. There you go. Free advertising for it because I really, really like it. The pacing aiming to be about 20 hours to level up if you're in a rush. It will probably take longer if you're casual. I say if you're casual, if you're playing the game in a more casual way, a little bit less try hard, but yes, it will probably be changed, but that's around the figure they were aiming for. Alex, are there lots of issues shooting up down ramps? Hopefully they fix that. Yes, there are indeed lots of issues with that. The click to move system now integrates and works a little bit better for that. But guys, unless you've got any more questions, we're going to wrap it up there. 40k Attenborough, I'll remember that one. You guys have yourself a great week. I'm going to stick this one up on the YouTube so you can see yourself on the video later. Feel free to check it out and drop a like, throw a comment in if there's anything else you didn't talk about now but want to. Will the loot system be the same? Boring percentage to useless stats, still no legendaries in plan. Basically everything you've just said without going through it all again. Mr. Russian name, I'm presuming that's Russian. No, it will not be the same. It is. There is many changes, many different weapon enchants, multiple different weapon enchants being added, different ways to build a character. I'd suggest to check out the video later when I upload this because I'm going to have to go through another 5-minute spiel to update you on all of the things going on there. But yes, lots of that is going to be changes. Our enemy's going to get harder. Possibly not. The base difficulty is not going to get harder, I know that, but there is an option to play the game in investigations and turret missions on harder settings. For the campaign, if you want it to be harder, you just kind of have to race ahead. I don't believe there's a New Game Plus mode for the campaign where you can choose to make the campaign harder. I would quite like that for secondary characters. At the moment, you kind of just have to race through it and get to a point where it starts to become hard because you've not done any other content. But there you go. Guys, you have yourself a great week. Hopefully, we get a stream on Friday from the developers. There's also some videos coming out from them this week in terms of dev logs, just some snippets of information, 5-minute short clips of how they make stuff. You guys have yourself a great time and try not to catch yourself a cold because it sucks. Take care.